This is Moriarty and her books YouTube channel. You can check the link in the description. It's a review of The Long Walk, and I'm going to review her review and just point out her mistakes.
Real quick, the premise. Every year on the first day of May, 100 boys, teenage boys, meet for an event known throughout the country as the Long Walk. If you fall under speed, stumble, sit down, after 3 warnings, you get your ticket.
So these synopses on the back of the book are actually quite inaccurate, and I'll have a link to the synopses in the description, all the mistakes that they make.
They don't really tell you why people feel compelled to do it, and they don't really tell you what the prize is. They just keep saying your greatest wish.
There's also money. You get a prize and money.
And they can't sleep. They can't sleep. They can't stop to pee.
They do kind of learn to sleep walk. You can kind of doze, nap, essentially close your eyes for brief periods and walk. Your brain can kind of semi-shut down and sleep. I mean, with sleepwalking, you're asleep, but you're not conscious, but you're moving their sleep talking. The brain does all kinds of weird things, and it needs that sleep, and they can actually get some sleep when they walk.
Or poop, they have to literally either keep it in their pants or they have to squat and get a warning.
The thing is, if you stop, you've got 30 seconds before you get a warning. So if you can poop in less than 30 seconds or stop and pee in less than 30 seconds, your 2-minute timer will drop, but you won't get a warning if you can do it under 30 seconds if you have 120 fully on your timer. So you only get the warnings if your death timer, your 2-minute death timer, drops to 90, 60, or 30, and then a ticket at 0.
The warnings we set like every 3 hours of walking.
So every hour you walk without a warning, you lose a warning, so that your death timer resets back to 60, 90, or 120, depending if you had 3, 2, or 1 warnings. And if you had, let's say your timer had dropped by 20 seconds, and so you were at 100, and you hadn't gotten your first warning yet, and you walked a full hour without a warning, your timer would reset back to 120. So it's all about the timer. The warning and the timer are all linked.
3 hours of walking, that's when the 3 warnings were set.
So like I said, you don't have to walk 3 hours to get your 3 warnings. You walk 1 hour and your timer resets back to the next threshold, 60, 90, or 120.
I really urge people to read more non-supernatural Stephen King books. I personally think they're his best books. And by non-supernatural, I just mean like not ghosts or vampires. Because like in The Green Mile has some kind of mystic elements to it, but not really, but it's not the main plot. But like The Green Mile, Thinner, and now The Long Walk are 3 books by Stephen King.
I just wanted to point out that Stebbins does have something like The Shine. He can read minds, and there were 2 instances when he reads Garrity's mind, and he could surely read the minds of the other boys as well. So he could use that as like psychological warfare against them. So when Garrity was having this dream about marrying his mother, later on he mentions that and gets Garrity all upset. Says it's your mother you want, right? That's what little boys want. They want to marry their mother. And then later when Garrity is thinking he knows the route from Freeport on, Stebbins instantly replies to what he's thinking in his brain and says, it's probably an advantage, but I don't think so. And Garrity feels like the lid of his skull was open and somebody peered inside to look at his thoughts. So he kind of even felt Stebbins peering inside his mind. The thing that Stephen King does with supernatural, some of it, is that he makes it scientific. So it's not some ghost or spirits. As far as the shine, it's something that occurs in natural in nature. I guess if there were ghosts, that would be something that's scientific or readable or occurs in nature. But my point is that it's maybe something that you can modify your DNA, and you're born with these mind abilities to control objects, cause things to burst into flames, and read people's minds, and so on.
One of the really interesting things is the concept of why are they doing this? Like, why are they doing this? Who thought that this was a good idea or even worth it? 1 out of 100 people win. The penalty is death for all the rest.
So it's my theory that the reason they're doing it is because of societal pressure. Uh, we're like lemmings, right? So if everybody else is doing it, we're going to do it too, maybe. So it's just become this tradition where all males age 13 to 18 apply for the long walk. And they do actually filter it down. 1 in 50 have to pass the physical, mental, and essay test. And so that leaves about 40,000 to enter the lottery, and 200 are picked, 100 walkers and 100 backups.
Who thinks it's worth it? They end up walking literally hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Being that they are teenage boys, they're overconfident. A lot of them thought they were going to win it. Stebbins, Scram, Barkovich, Olsen, they all thought they were going to win it, and even Garrity thought he was going to win it at some point. I mean, when he kissed the girl, he was feeling pretty confident. Maine's own, you know. So, but that confidence eroded away soon after, once the pain of the walk kicked in and the sleep deprivation.
Nonstop. And it's just, they become delirious, they start questioning things, and
it's not right to say that they have to go nonstop. I mean, Garrity did stop when he had his leg cramp. Garrity stopped when he had to poo. He stopped when he saw his mother and Jan. So you can stop, but you've got to get going over 4 miles per hour in the correct direction before your timer reaches 0.
So there's a character who's kind of like this, he calls himself like the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland or whatever. He's kind of like this mystical figure, and
well, he did kind of, Stebbins calls himself the rabbit, and he kind of made some implications to Alice in Wonderland. But what he was really referring to was that he's like the rabbit at dog races, and that makes the dogs run faster. I mean, he's not leading the race, and they're not trying to catch him. He's actually trailing, but by him having a steady pace of he's probably walking really close to just above 4 miles per hour in a very steady pace. He kind of helped the other walkers better pace themselves so they didn't burn out, so they could walk into New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and they were trying to get to Boston. No walk had ever made it to Boston. So, but this walk actually broke all records and went further than any other walk. But Stebbins was the rabbit as far as trying to pace the group and make them go faster. For whatever reason, the major wanted the walks to go as far as possible. Maybe it has to do with money, as far as the advertising that they get from the televising from Augusta on. I don't know the reasons. It's probably just pride, but the major wanted this walk to go as far as possible.
But the major is what they call this big figure. I don't know if he's the president. I don't know what he rules. He, every like 500 something miles or whatever, a huge amount of miles, he'll stop and just wave by or whatever. And every city they go to.
This particular walk went about 440 miles.
Well, anyways, this kid named Stebbins, who's kind of like this, almost like mystical figure. Like you feel like he knows a lot more than he's saying. Well, you find out he's the bastard son of the major. And he had a plan he wanted to win so he could stick it in the major's face and demand entry into his household. But then he kind of mystically said something like, well, the major figured it all out or something, and I wanted to surprise him. I don't know how he knew.
Yeah, I have this theory, and this is only my theory, I'm just throwing it in, is that the major knew, of course he knew, I think he had Stebbins trained for years to win this long walk. And when he picks from the lottery, he just palmed the ticket. I mean, Joe and Mike as well, the brothers. I don't know what his reason for doing that would be, but it's very unlikely when you're picking randomly from 40,000 that the major's going to pick his own son. So that's why I think that some of these boys that were picked, this was like a rigged lottery, and that Stebbins he palmed the ticket, reached in, and really he just had it in his palm. Same thing with Joe and Mike. He wanted Stebbins to help push the race to go further than any other before, and but once that had been done, he was done with Stebbins, and he didn't want Stebbins to win because he knew that if Stebbins won, he would reveal, hey, I'm your bastard son. It would make the Major look bad, and he didn't want that. So it's my theory that the Major poisoned Stebbins by having one of the soldiers put some kind of slow-acting poison in his food belt that last morning on day 5. And that it kicked in about 8 p.m. in Danvers, Massachusetts, when Garrity comes up to him and he collapses dead. That's only my theory. We don't know why Stebbins suddenly collapsed. I mean, he was like diamonds. He was going to win. I mean, Garrity was giving up because he realized, I can't win this, so I'm just going to give up and let Stebbins take it.
The main character asks Stebbins, why are you doing this? Because everyone wants to know, well, why are you doing this? What are you hoping to get out of this? And the guy says, I'll probably do something dangerous and get my lifespan cut in half or something.
He doesn't say that. He doesn't say anything about getting his life. Stebbins doesn't say, I'll do something dangerous and get my life cut in half. He doesn't say that.
Something like that. And the main character goes, well, why are you doing this? If you know that much and if you're that sure, why are you doing it? And the guy says the same reason we're all doing it. We want to die. That's why we're doing it. Why else, Garrity? Why else? And that really shakes up Garrity, because when you think about it, like, it's true. Why else would you do this and take such odds? None of them are in dire straits. None of them said to support my family. None of them said anything like that. And that's kind of the...
I mean, technically, Scram wanted it to support his family. His wife is having a kid, and he wants to support them. A lot of these boys come from poor families, it's obvious. And this might be somewhat like The Purge, where they maybe they do handpick these boys, the poor boys, and get rid of none of these boys seem like rich boys. In fact, Stebbins has this old sweater with holes in the elbows, and he's wearing a blue chambray shirt, which is related to people that laborers wear the blue chambray shirt.